So a while back, my girlfriend and I took a trip to Germany with a T3 van, and we absolutely loved it. Now, to remember this moment, I wanted to make some sort of picture frame with it. A small fan in the corner and a picture of us in the van. Now I had a picture frame lying around, which is this picture frame from IKEA. Now all we needed was a tiny van. Now, after some searching we finally found the van. But it's not the right color. It took a long time to find this van. We looked on Etsy, Alibaba, anywhere that we could find a T3 van. But it was kinda hard. But in the end we did find one. It's this tiny red van. Now, as you can see, it's red and not the blue that it should be. So I'm going to try to make this blue, but that's not the only difference. The van we had a white roof on top of it. So I need to create that too. Now let's disassemble this van and see what we can do with it. So first off, I think I'm gonna need to remove the bottom, because that seems to be the only way in. So let's grab a small screwdriver and see if we can get into it. I think this tip might do the job. It's very small and it should be able to get in there. Let's see if it works. Now there are some small indents here, and I hope I can pry it open there. So let's see. It is getting up.
That's what she said!
I'm gonna need some shimmies to keep it open. I think if I work around the back of it, it might pop open. Yes, there it goes. Okay, so seems like it's glued in at the back there, and some small pins should hold it in front. One of them already broke off, but that doesn't really matter since it clips in place, so that's fine. Okay, let's see if we can get the rest out of it. Because it would make it a lot more easy to paint it. That removes. I hope the glass removes as well. Yes. Okay. So those are all the parts. So I guess I just need to find a way to strip the paint down from this and see if I can paint over it. Now I can think of two options to remove the paint from this. And the first option would be to scratch it off, but I'm afraid that would damage the paint. So the other option that I have might be able to use a paint thinner in the hope that it works. So I'm gonna grab that and see if it does anything. So I'm gonna use a towel for this and just sprinkle a bit on it and see if it does anything when I rub it over it. If not, I'm gonna have to resort to scratching it up. But I'm afraid I might lose detail in it, since there's some small grooves that could get damaged too. And painting over it really isn't an option, because it would just chip off at first contact. So I'm going to have to paint over it either way, and the only way to do it is actually get it off. The stuff does really smell bad, so do not inhale this if you're doing this too. But let's see if it's doing anything to the place that's actually already been scratched. It doesn't even seem to do much. Maybe if I scratch it a little, it might loosen up. It doesn't really seem like, although there's a bit of red here, so it might actually be working. I think the best solution is to just dunk this into it. So I'm gonna need to create a small container for it. which I can put this in and let it soak for a couple hours maybe, in hope that it will just dissolve it. But I'm not sure if it's gonna work, so let's see. Okay, so finally finished all the sanding and getting the paint off. It took a long time, but it's finally complete. Now, as you may see, there are still some small spots of paint if you look really close, but I think this will do fine. And the outside is completely gone on some few nicks and knacks, but that should be fine. So the next step would be to paint it. So let's mix up some paint, see if we can get the color right, and put the paint on. Now I do have a blue paint and a white paint, but these have been closed for a while now, and I still hope these are liquid. If not, I can always resort to these, but these are not the best paints. So I'm really hoping these will work. Now I do have a paint thinner if these are not liquid anymore, and I hope that works, but we'll see what happens. So let's open these up. Oh, let's see, let's shake them up first. It doesn't really sound liquid anymore. Neither does this one. Well, let's hope it's still liquid. That's still liquid. Now for the white. And that's still liquid too. Now that's great, because these two would be perfect for painting the car with a compressor and an airbrush. So I was hoping this would work. Okay, so let's see if we can mix the right color up. The paint job is done. Now the only part that's actually missing still is the roof. So I need to do something about that. And I have this hobby board that might actually work. I already cut out a small piece, but we need to fit it to the roof. So my idea is to start off with measuring everything and just making the roof before gluing it on. So I guess I'm gonna start with that. Now the smart way of doing this is probably to sketch it out first, before I start cutting with a knife. I do have some more hobby boards, so if this fails it shouldn't be the end, but I should make it actually easy on myself, so I'm gonna sketch it out first, before I start cutting with the knife. This is gonna be a challenge, because I'm not sure if this hobby board will cut very nicely, and I kind of need it to do so. Let's first measure up the rooftop before I start cutting. I'm gonna leave a bit of excess here on the top. Now if I do mess up I can always sand it back a bit, but if I cut off too much it's gonna be kinda hard to glue it back on. So I'm gonna take a bit of a leeway. It should end up somewhere there. Now the big plus is that the design is quite simple of the van. It's like just a straight up roof going straight, no weird bands or whatever. So I should be able to just line up the roof with the roof of this. And just make it at a small angle. So I think if I do something along the line of here, kind of steep, but not too steep. No, I don't need it to be tall. In the real van it's like a fourth of the height of the car. So somewhere along the line of here. Somewhere on the line of here should work. I'm just straight eyeballing this. If it doesn't work out, I'll just start a new piece. But for now, this is how I'm gonna do it. And if I grab a ruler, I can trace the line back in the hopes that it will be straight. Now I can already tell that I started at the wrong end, because this end is smooth and this is still bumpy. So I'm gonna flip it to this side, because it's gonna make it way easier for me to cut. That way I don't need to get a straight line in the first place, I can just use this one. So I need to line it up again and find out the right angle.
A few moments later.
So let's just go for it and cut it out. And the big part about hobbyboard is that it actually cuts kind of nicely with a blade. You can also cut it with a jigsaw or whatever, but it's just too small for that. So I'm just gonna use a tiny blade.
More moments later.
Free she goes. Do they line up? No, they freaking don't. No, they freaking don't. Oh, there goes the light. So I'll just cut these pieces out off camera so the light's already dead. So I'll see you when it's done. It's been a while since I last worked on the car project, because I couldn't figure my head around how I was gonna do the roof. I cut out the side profiles, but then I couldn't figure out how I wanted to do the roof, since the board that I got is a bit too thick for that, and I need something more malleable. I needed to figure out another way, and I think I finally found one. I've had this thicker paper for a while now, and I think I might be able to just fold it over, stick it together, and maybe it's strong enough to create a roof. At least that's what I'm hoping for. So the first step is going to be to get these side profiles into the shape of the bus, because if I stick them on top of this now, the roof will just go straight up, and it needs to get at a sort of an angle. So that is going to be a challenge, but there's just one way to get this done, and it's just by starting it. So let's start. Okay, so I have the roof done now. I already went ahead and sanded it to make it smooth. So the next step would be to sort of protect it with a protective layer. Now I'm going to use mud parts for this again, since I've used it on a couple of pieces that I did before and it worked great. So I'm going to use this again. And after that, I guess, depending on how the results are, I might need to paint it again with a clear paint. And if not, then I guess the top part is done and it's onto the details. So let's get into it and finish this project. Now the tires on the van that we rented were not red. They were kind of black. So I'm just gonna paint over him with the black paint that I got. I'm not gonna sand them down because these are some small plastic parts and they will be protected by the wheels themselves. So I don't think it's necessary, so I'm just gonna paint over him immediately and hope that it turns out great. Well, that's not much paint anymore. It does smell pretty bad though. Luckily I do have another black paint and I hope that this is more fluid. But looking at the inside, it might be enough. This is gonna be enough. Oh, I have some panel lining from Tamiya, so this should add some more detail to the van itself, and it should make it a lot more easy to get these details down. Since they are very tiny, a brush won't work for this. But we'll see. Let's see what it can do for us. Okay, so I got all the components done now. The only thing left to do is actually assemble it, put it in the frame and hang it up. So I got the poster, and we ended up with a different kind of picture for the frame. The only picture that we had in the back of the van was a bit dark, so we ended up with a picture of us in front of the van that we really liked. So let's get it in the picture frame, and that should be it. So the picture frame is done for now. The van is not glued down at the moment, because I might want to do some more diorama for the picture frame in the future. Now, if you guys want to see me make more of a diorama of the picture frame, let me know, and perhaps I'll make another video about it. See you guys next time. Bye!